On September 14, 2025, the fragile calm of the Baltic skies was shattered once again as Swedish JAS-39 Gripen fighters scrambled to intercept Russian aircraft that ventured close to NATO's airspace. The encounter, though brief and without direct confrontation, underscored how the Baltic Sea region has become one of Europe's most contested security flashpoints. The Swedish Air Force reported that its quick reaction alert mission identified 2 Russian Su-30 combat jets, including a Su-30SM and the more advanced Su-30SM-2, both armed with Kh-31 air-to-surface missiles. At the same time, Danish fighters tracked and intercepted a Russian Il-20 reconnaissance aircraft, a platform long associated with electronic and communications intelligence. Taken together, the events reflect Moscow's deliberate choice to test the readiness of NATO allies, while signaling its own capacity for escalation. What makes this latest incident so significant is not simply the presence of Russian fighters in international airspace but the kind of weaponry they carried. The Kh-31 missile is not a standard load for routine patrols. Designed to neutralize surface-to-air missile systems and strike naval assets, it represents a threat not only to air defenses but also to NATO vessels operating in the Baltic Sea. By equipping Su-30s with such armament, Russia effectively staged a demonstration of force, sending a clear message that its deployments are meant to intimidate as much as to surveil. It was not an exercise in training or simple reconnaissance. Rather, it was a carefully calculated maneuver meant to remind the alliance of the risks that accompany any escalation in the region. The involvement of the Il-20 reconnaissance aircraft adds another layer to the unfolding dynamic. The Il-20, with its distinctive array of antennas and sensors, is an electronic intelligence platform capable of intercepting communications, radar signals, and command transmissions. Operating without a transponder and without filing a flight plan, the aircraft deliberately flouted international aviation norms. This decision was not accidental. Flying dark allowed the Il-20 to probe NATO's air defense systems, measuring their response times and testing the limits of Allied surveillance capabilities. When combined with the escort of heavily armed Su-30 fighters, the mission appears less like an isolated reconnaissance flight and more like a coordinated intelligence gathering and deterrence operation. This type of Russian behavior has precedent. Over the past decade, the Baltic has seen repeated incidents of Russian aircraft flying near NATO territory without identification, sometimes at dangerously close distances. Yet the escalation in 2025 comes against the backdrop of a broader regional security crisis. Russian drones have recently violated Polish and Romanian airspace, incidents that have forced NATO to expand patrols along its eastern flank. By carrying out simultaneous provocations, Moscow is attempting to stretch the alliance thin, forcing member states to expend resources across multiple fronts. In doing so, Russia is not only gathering intelligence but also shaping perceptions of NATO's ability to remain vigilant under pressure. The choice of the Su-30 family for this mission is also notable. These aircraft have become the backbone of Russia's multi-role fighter fleet, serving in both air superiority and ground attack roles. The Su-30SM variant, in particular, has seen extensive combat in Syria and Ukraine, where it has been used to strike ground targets and provide air cover. The upgraded Su-30SM-2 integrates modernized avionics and new weapon systems, narrowing the technological gap with Western fighters. Nevertheless, when compared to NATO assets such as the Eurofighter Typhoon or the F-35 Lightning II, the Su-30 still falls short in critical areas like stealth, sensor fusion, and secure data sharing networks. Its strength lies in payload and versatility, not in the cutting-edge integration that defines fifth-generation aircraft. The Kh-31 missile further enhances the Su-30's role in this scenario. Capable of supersonic speeds and designed to home in on radar emissions, the missile represents a serious challenge to NATO's surface-based air defense systems. If deployed in combat, such missiles could threaten both naval groups in the Baltic Sea and ground-based air defense batteries in member states bordering Russia. By visibly arming its aircraft with these weapons, Moscow sought to demonstrate that it possesses tools specifically designed to neutralize NATO's defensive advantages. The psychological impact of such a display should not be underestimated, as it reinforces the perception that Russia is willing to escalate beyond mere reconnaissance flights. The IL-20's presence complements this show of force by fulfilling an intelligence mission that supports Russia's long-term strategic goals. Electronic intelligence remains one of Moscow's key methods of gaining insight into NATO command structures and communication networks. By flying in close proximity to Allied territory, the IL-20 can gather valuable data on radar frequencies, encrypted transmissions, and patterns of response. This intelligence is then fed back into Russia's military planning, helping refine its ability to counter NATO in the event of a larger conflict. NATO, of course, counters these efforts with its own platforms, such as the E-3 AWACS and the RC-135 Rivet Joint, which provide advanced surveillance and electronic warfare capabilities that outmatch those of the aging IL-20. Yet the Russian aircraft still performs its role effectively, particularly when paired with escort fighters that ensure its mission can be completed with reduced risk. The broader geopolitical implications of these interceptions cannot be ignored. Each encounter in the Baltic carries the potential for miscalculation. A misinterpreted maneuver or an unexpected escalation could quickly transform a routine interception into a diplomatic crisis or even an armed confrontation. The more frequently these incidents occur, the greater the risk of unintended consequences. For NATO, maintaining composure while demonstrating readiness is essential. Quick reaction alert missions like those flown by the Swedish Gripens and Danish fighters serve as both deterrence and reassurance, signaling to Moscow that Allied airspace remains secure. At the same time, they communicate to member states and local populations that NATO remains committed to defending its borders. Russia's motives for engaging in such brinkmanship are multifaceted. Domestically, displays of military power reinforce the government's narrative of strength in the face of Western adversaries. Internationally, they serve as tools of coercion, testing NATO's unity and resolve. By forcing constant responses, Moscow hopes to identify weaknesses, exploit divisions, and wear down the alliance's resources over time. The timing of these operations, so soon after drone incursions into Poland and Romania, suggests a coordinated campaign designed to keep NATO off balance. From Moscow's perspective, such pressure serves to complicate Allied decision-making and create uncertainty about NATO's capacity to respond swiftly in multiple theaters at once. For Sweden, which has taken steps toward deeper integration with NATO structures, the interceptions underscore the importance of its modern air force. The Jas-39 Gripen, though smaller and less heavily armed than the Su-30, is optimized for rapid response and efficient operations in contested environments. Its advanced avionics and interoperability with NATO systems make it a valuable asset in collective defense. The incident illustrates that Sweden is not merely a regional actor but an integral part of the alliance's deterrence posture. For Denmark, too, the successful interception of the IL-20 demonstrates its ability to contribute to NATO's air policing missions, reaffirming the principle of shared security across the region. Ultimately, the Baltic Sea has once again become a theater of high-stakes aerial competition. What was once a zone of commercial and civilian transit is now increasingly defined by military maneuvering, intelligence gathering, and strategic signaling. The presence of armed Russian fighters and reconnaissance aircraft is not just about immediate threats but about shaping the long-term security environment of Northern Europe. NATO's responses, while measured, must balance the need for deterrence with the imperative of avoiding escalation. Each interception is a reminder that the margin for error is slim, and that the contest for dominance in the Baltic is not just about aircraft and missiles but about the broader struggle for influence, stability, and control in Europe's northeastern frontier.